I overcame.
Both feet to the face.
I showed that I'm the strongest, that I'm the roughest, I'm the toughest, I'm the quickest, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, and now I am the Raw Women's Champion.
Blaze that trail that the women before us started and hoped to inspire more.
Sasha Banks and Naomi. Whoa! No.
And now we're gonna create more opportunity for so many more women, and I just can't wait.
Welcome everyone to Ring the Bell. This is DS.
And the Sriracha Muchacha, Paloma Star.
Alright, how are you?
I'm good, but most importantly, how are you?
I was supposed to wear this for WrestleMania, but as some of you might know, I got COVID on the day that I was supposed to fly out to Dallas, so I am quarantining currently.
Which is why we're doing this virtually. I feel like, oh, this looks very familiar. Well, I'm glad you're okay though.
Friday, it was pretty rough, but I'm definitely better now. The WrestleMania was really fun. We have a lot to talk about.
We do, let's go.
So again, we had 2 nights of WrestleMania, and the night 1 was really where all the fun stuff happened. The whole question was who would be the main event. Would it be Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair? It was none of them because it was Stone Cold Steve Austin. His return was the main event of the first night. First match we got was actually Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch, and I have to say, they came in fully believing that this is main event.
Oh, totally. Like, they didn't even have to be main event to be the main event.
Let's first talk about Becky Lynch, because Becky Lynch, we all remember that Becky Lynch got a haircut by Bianca Belair on Raw, and then she revealed that she got a mullet on social media. I was kind of skeptical about mullet, to be honest, but she looked so good.
She's the only one that could pull off a good mullet. And I have this thing that every time I see a mullet, I have to just yell out mullet. Like, everyone's like, mullet! Like, all the time for some reason. So if I would have seen Becky, I would have yelled mullet at her. But man, she can rock it. And like, it went like all with her whole geometrically shaped outfit with her geometrically shaped hair. It looked great. And I kept on seeing the comparisons to Hayley Williams from Paramore. I could definitely see it. But it's definitely like a elevated version of it.
Especially with that like gradient red makeup, which I personally loved. I think it like really just elevated the villainness of her, but I think she kind of looked like almost like David Bowie.
Yeah, very Art Deco. I loved it. It was very villainous. Like, I don't think it was probably like one specific one. I might be wrong, but I just think you could definitely tell just by looking at the two. Like, if you've never watched wrestling before, who the good guy was and who the bad guy was by just looking at them.
I think this really exemplifies her evolution from the man era to the big time Bex era. Back in the man era, she was just wearing like jean shorts and like t-shirts and stuff like that. She was like very of the people. She was like down to earth. But now, I mean, if you think about it, she's been pulling looks after looks. What we can say was that she was always very experimental with the looks, and this WrestleMania she did not miss it. But I think it really shows that Becky Lynch is on the top of the game, constantly evolving. Her character is evolving all the time. The way she dressed and the makeup and the hair, it just showed her different character, different mindset, a different storyline going into this WrestleMania. So that's something that really stood out to me.
And that's something that really takes it to a whole nother level. While it might be seen as like not as important to some people, I actually think that's her really taking care of her character and taking so much into consideration. Like, it's really the little things that really elevate your character and elevate your storyline and really even elevate you and further you along as a performer, is making those little tweaks to her. And like, even like big time backs, I know it probably stem from like Becky Two Belts and stuff like that. Like, just like that's almost another play on words of her name that works so well. So I love to see that whole never the same tone. Like, it's always something different, bringing something new to the table. And this definitely not only felt like a WrestleMania match, it looked like a WrestleMania match.
And then Bianca Belair came in with a whole marching band, and I was like, this is the WrestleMania entrance. It was so epic.
It really was. And also the university that played them out is a historically black college, so I think it was really cool, that tie-in of course, celebrating black excellence. So it was really cool, really high energy, which totally matches Bianca for sure, hands down.
When she came in with the Minnie Mouse, the ribbon on her, she just looked so fabulous. And that gear, so cute. Oh my god, just the whole like lips as her top. Oh my god, it was just amazing outfit.
And it also goes back to like, it was something that she kind China would wear, but elevated too. It was still different because it had the cute little like almost garter little shorts looking thing instead of just like straight pant like that she usually rocks. But I like the whole like still herself, but an elevated version of herself, which I think this is the time to do it. It's WrestleMania. And I thought it was pretty cool that her gear was actually designed by a fan, which I thought was that was really cool that she got inspiration from that. So shout out to that person because they did a really good job and Bianca rocked it. I can't wait to see that video that she always releases on how she makes her own gear.
Even before the match started, I was already like screaming because their looks were just slaying.
I actually loved that they went, the first thing that they went for was a manhandle slam right away. Kind of how when Becky beat Bianca in the 26 seconds. I love that callback and how it was a 2 count instead of in a 1 count made the biggest difference in the world. So shout out to, it was TJ and Molly Holly who produced this match. So shout out to them for coming up with that great callback and kind of like, oh man, imagine. So I'm glad that they did start off that way. And also kind of glad that it did start off with Becky being on top because it's actually almost a formula of like a regular wrestling match and really was able to, for Bianca to excel. She fights really, really well from the bottom, you know, almost being like an underdog, which is so crazy to think about since she is the EST and her being played up as an underdog. It's kind of like, I don't know, kind of weird to me, but it worked out great. But that's also how she works best, is fighting from the bottom. And I think we really got to see, while Bianca is the strongest, you know, Becky still has some experience on her, you know, still has some tricks up her sleeve. But I really like the pacing of the match where I feel like both of them had their moment to shine and really show what they can do best.
Storyline really shines through because, like you said, the 26 second, people were saying that their heart was beating because we saw Bianca lose in 26 seconds. So we were wondering like, oh, is Becky gonna lose under 26 second as like a revenge, or will she take the win again? Like, people were just genuinely scared that might happen again. So bringing back the SummerSlam match into this was absolutely masterful writing, but also just Becky Lynch oversmart Bianca Belair in everything she did for the first like half or first 1/3 of the match. Throughout the feud with Becky and Bianca, Becky was able to defeat Bianca Belair multiple times with how smart she was. She like used all the tricks. They used that storyline again and brought this into the match. So I really love that they were able to bring different aspects of the months of storyline that they were building into this match. Because like that's the whole point of wrestling, you know? Like you gotta bring all the storyline. And I love that they brought it in as an aspect of the match. So I thought that was just really, really well written. Testament to how much of a great storyteller Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair is.
I love that Becky kept the moonsault. I feel like she like learned that and perfected that for the Lita match. But I'm glad that she kept it.
It's almost like Becky captured Lita's soul and used it for her match. Because Becky talked about how she sold her soul to be the best, and it's almost like when she defeated someone, she brought that like part of her. She brought that part of Lita into this match to defeat Bianca. So I love the moonsault.
The Molly go round. Oh my gosh! Like I'm so glad somebody's doing that because I always thought that was such a devastating move, which proved to be an actual devastating move.
Love that homage to Oksana when Oksana broke Naomi's eye. The Molly go round gone wrong, but it did definitely add to the whole antic of the match.
Did you see how bad Bianca's eye is? First of all, it was swollen shut, and then now it's all like, it looks so bad and gross, but actually, I kind of like that. I kind of like that she did look beat up. You know, that she did look like she had a fight because it was a fight. You could tell these two women were not holding anything back. And what I love about matches like this is that, yes, there was so many great spots, but it didn't feel like spotty. Like it didn't feel like, all right, now we're going on to the next spot. Okay, now we're going to the next spot. It flowed very well. It didn't seem like they were thinking about what was coming up next. And I will be the first one to point myself out. I definitely do that when I'm in a match, especially when I know there's a big spot coming up. You kind of could tell when somebody's thinking about what's going on as opposed to reacting to what's going on. And that is why these women are in WWE, because they're so good at doing that. And I also kind of was a little bit surprised that Bianca didn't pull off her whoosh, her hair whip, but her hair was used very well throughout the match. So I don't think it necessarily needed it. Yeah, I think it was just for my own personal thing because I love whenever she just whips it out, literally. But I don't think it necessarily needed it. It was just for my own sake that I wanted to see it.
The other underrated spot, I think, I love when Bianca did that handspring from outside into the apron, and then she used that to do the suplex. I thought it was really, really cool. But my favorite spot has to be at the end. Bianca, this is again just masterful storytelling, where she was playing possum. So She was acting like she was out, using the trick Becky would use. And then she surprised Becky, a huge KOD on Becky Lynch to defeat Becky Lynch to win that Raw Women's Championship. I thought that was just storyline-wise, it was just perfect.
It was like the cherry on top that delivered that strong KOD after, like you said, playing possum, which was actually kind of like not very face-like, but I think in this instance, because of the storyline going on with Becky, worked out perfect. I actually thought she was, I'm like, oh shit, she's really knocked out for like 2.5 seconds. And I actually think Bianca has like the perfect a group of people around her, because there's, without a doubt, is she athletic. Same thing goes to her for her husband, Montez Ford, both like athletic freaks of nature who I almost think they have to try not to look too athletic, especially in wrestling, if that makes sense. But I feel like now, because the people around her, with people like Becky Lynch, who she can work so well with and have experience in wrestling, with great producers like Molly Holly and TJ, like she really has a great cast of people around her to help her succeed. What an epic night for her, but not only that, but the 2 WrestleManias in a row that she comes out as champion and has amazing moments. Like, good for her. Like, not only does she deliver every time, she has proven time and time again that she can hang, and no matter what the situation is. So definitely biggest props to Bianca. I don't care who would have won. This match was so good that for me personally, I didn't have a preference, because that's how good the match was.
Storyline wise, it made sense for Bianca to win. Yes, it was predictable, but it just made so much sense. It was just a perfect book ending match to their feud. I'm sure they will have the second part of it, the next chapter of it, but this was just a perfect story ending of a chapter. Like you said, Bianca Belair, this is a second WrestleMania that she just knocked out of the park.
She literally has back-to-back amazing matches. Like, of course, like there's been so many people who have had amazing WrestleMania matches, but I don't think there's ever been people who've had like back-to-back little amazing, not only matches, but like moments, and delivered, and at such a young age in wrestling. She hasn't been wrestling for the longest time. She didn't grow up, in the indies, cutting her teeth in the indies or anything. She learned how to wrestle in WWE. I think that just says so much more than anything else. So she's doing great. I mean, I don't know what else she can accomplish, but I know she can accomplish whatever that is.
Let's talk about Becky Lynch's championship reign for a little bit.
I really liked it. I didn't think it was gonna necessarily, like, she needed it, but I actually kind of really liked what she did in this championship reign. I really like the big time backs. Her and Seth Rollins' wardrobe they must have gotten a whole new closet to put all those amazing looks that they both were delivering. Also, what an awesome power couple. Oh my gosh, can you imagine you and your spouse wrestling in WrestleMania the same night, so you could just chill the rest of the WrestleMania? I that's what I would want. But I think she had a really good championship reign. I'm sure she's gonna have another one. I kind of want to see her in the title picture right away, just because I think her last reign was so good. And the thing is, I remember her more of a character and her promos and being big time backs, as opposed to any like feuds or matches that she had while she was a champion. And I don't know if that's a testament to Becky or not. Like, I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing yet, but I think I remember her more as a character, as a champion, as opposed to matches that she had besides this one with Bianca.
I could remember a lot of the matches that Becky had. Obviously, I remember her amazing feud with Lita. And the other thing I really like about Becky's reign is that she changed storyline and how she dealt with their challengers every single time. I feel bad dragging Charlotte into this all the time. I'm even going to bring in Britt Baker too, because they have very consistent way they deal with their challenger. Like, I'm the best, I'm the queen, and I'm undefeated, I'm the star. But Becky Lynch, she changes the way she deals with her challenger all the time, which makes each feud very fresh. What she did to Lita, she elevated Lita as a legend, which WWE hasn't done for a very long time. Even though Liv was not able to win the match from Becky Lynch, but I think she was able to elevate Liv a lot. Doudrop, I think, was able to stand out, even though that match didn't, like, wow everyone. Liv Morgan matches wowed everyone. She wasn't able to lose because she was waiting to give the whole gift of losing to Bianca Belair. She was able to elevate a lot of different people throughout the feud, which I think is a sign of healthy championship reign.
She did approach each different person a different way, while obviously some were way more memorable than the others. I almost feel like with Lita, like, it wasn't, for me, I feel like the championship almost took a back seat, because more of an awe of like Lita and like having this dream match actually happen, even though it was for the championship. But I feel like I was way more focused on that. But I'm actually kind of interested to see who she would feud with next. I mean, like you said, they're probably gonna have another match at WrestleMania Backlash, because that's how it always happens and that's what they always do. But I kind of, like I said, I kind of want her not to be in the picture range, in the title picture, to see if she can still elevate somebody else without necessarily having the title for it.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting point, because we kind of blame Charlotte Flair always for that she's always in the championship picture, even though she can totally elevate people without it. I wonder if Becky can do that. Let's talk about SmackDown Women's Championship match, Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair. Let's talk about the build for a little bit. So they did have some interesting segments. I mean, obviously Ronda Rousey was the Royal Rumble winner, so we got that momentum coming in. Parking lot brawl, we broke some table, but after that, I have to say, I have no idea. All the promos, like, it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, what are you guys even talking about?
It's weird because this match shouldn't have felt forced, the build-up, but it definitely felt a little forced for the build-up. Kind of like, what can we do now? Like, kind of like scratching our heads, like, so what shall we say that we're pissed about now? But I do agree, the build-up was a little bit weird, and I almost, like, was not as excited about this. I don't know if it was because of the weird build-up or because we're like, oh, okay, so this is happening, but it was just didn't have the same level as a build-up as Becky and Bianca, and I think that's almost like a detriment that we unfortunately have so many talented and gifted women that they're always going to be the comparison to what we just saw or what we saw over that night. I mean, no fault to their own, but it's kind of hard not to compare the two, both in the match and the build-up for it.
I feel like the reason it is so forced is that when Ronda came back, we thought it was just organic for her to go straight to Becky Lynch. She honestly had no business dealing with Charlotte Flair because there's nothing there, but she did. We're like, why? So I think from the start, I think it just was all very forced, and like you said, everything seemed really forced. The other thing, kind of in relation to Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey is she's a special attraction, but Charlotte Flair dealt with Ronda Rousey like anybody else that she dealt with. I'm the opportunity, I'm the Miss WrestleMania, I'm gonna win, I'm gonna tap you out. And I think that almost made Ronda Rousey not special.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And Charlotte is good, no, without a doubt. She's great, she's super talented, but she's almost a one note. While that one note is the best one note that you can hit, it's still one note. It doesn't change, especially like now that you opened my eyes to how Becky approaches each opponent differently, and Charlotte definitely doesn't do that. It's almost to the point where she knows that she doesn't have to do that. So I feel like that she doesn't even like tweak it or like change it even a little bit. And while it works, how much more can it work for? Also, I do wish it was a little bit more different, or like looking at it from a different angle. Besides, we're like, okay, we get it, Charlotte. You're the queen. You're the best. Okay, now what? I do think that the whole "I'm gonna make you tap out" could have been something, but I also feel like they're planting seeds for like a submission match or something.
Like, even for Bianca Becky match, there was a lot of focus on hair, so I was like, is this gonna be a hair versus title match? But this one was like, is this gonna be a submission match? But like, now that we know how this match turned out, there has to be another match. I'm sure there will be a submission match. It's really weird because Charlotte and Ronda did like a very intimate like ESPN interview. They're sitting right next to each other in like this small like tea table, and they're doing like interview, talking about each other. And Charlotte cut a promo on that show that it was better than any shit that she talked about on SmackDown. She talked about her insecurities regarding Ronda Rousey and why for Ronda to beat her means nothing, but her to beat Ronda Rousey would mean so much. So I just want to point out that Charlotte can do interesting, multi-dimensional character. It's just the creative that's been messing things up. What do we think about the looks in this match?
I liked them, but once again, for both of them, they were like, yeah, that's what they do. You know, that's what they look like. That's what they do. Like, which both of them are great. Both of them look great, of course. But it almost goes back to like almost like the Charlotte problem of like, yeah, but like we've seen that. It's a great note. But then what? Like, is there other great notes? Or is there like a almost great note? And that's what I feel about the looks of both of them. That blue that Charlotte was wearing was beautiful. Very royal, very majestic. And Ronda looking her typical UFC fighter self with the like cute little sports bra and shorts. I liked her makeup. I know she's really big into Black Swan makeup, but I feel like this is the best rendition.
You liked it?
It's the best rendition of it compared to the others.
I love that. Like Charlotte Flair, she looked amazing. She looked regal, but that was very Charlotte Flair. That was very in the realm of something we would expect from Charlotte Flair.
Exactly. Like, which is good, but Is there something else? Can you spice it up a little? Put some sriracha on it?
So what did you think of the match?
I really liked it. I'm not gonna lie. I did not think this match was gonna be this good. I love that they felt like they were like beating the shit out of each other. I definitely felt like they were not holding anything back. We'll hit hard now and we'll apologize later. Make this look good. So, and I think they did a really good job. Like some of those spears that Charlotte was throwing, I was like, wow. Like, I had no idea you could even spear hard. Like, obviously, I feel like a spear is hard anyway, but how do you spear harder? So I was like, oh, wow, okay. I really like the whole, like, wrestling angle that they did with the whole, like, bumping the ref and, like, using the distraction and, like, all that stuff. I thought that was very wrestling, like, very pro wrestling, but I think that was needed in this match for sure, because I almost feel like, oh, well, Charlotte's playing up to her experiences and what she knows, and we could see a little bit of Ronda doing that with all her judo throws, which I'm so glad Ronda does some more of her judo throws, because why wouldn't you? Like, if you're, like, an Olympic athlete in a sport, why wouldn't you incorporate that to your moveset? So I'm glad we get to see some judo throws, but I was pleasantly surprised with how good this match was. I even liked the little, like, imperfect spots of it, because not everything was, like, super crisp and flowy, but I almost liked that more because it felt more like of a fight.
It felt very raw and like rough around the edges because it looked like they hated each other. For me, it almost had like two different chunks of it. The first chunk, I was like, they were just going at it, very messy at some point, but it looked very intense. But the thing is, I do have to say, like, because the feud was a little confusing from the get-go, I mean, they were talking about submission for a little bit, they did tell that a little bit here, but I wasn't super clear what exactly story that they're telling. There were definitely messiness, but I can't say I didn't enjoy it. But I think the match really picked up where I thought Charlotte almost tapped out.
Yeah, she did such a good job of selling it. Like, is she really about to tap out right now?
I thought she was gonna tap out, and from there, it was like a roller coaster ride. And then they started introducing those like wrestling elements into it. When the referee did the 3 count, and then he was like, "No," I don't think I've seen that in women's matches before.
No, I haven't either. And if it hasn't been in a long time. I thought that was a really good idea, because I feel like so many times it does stop at 2, but also, like, if you're a ref and you're counting, you're in there counting, you're like, oh shit, now you realize it. It almost also makes me think, why don't more refs do that? You know, like, as opposed to like, oh, well, whoops, I didn't see it, I'm a dumb ref. But like, I almost feel like, hey, you could do that. Do that more often, but not too often, where it gets like boring and lame and overused. But I did like that. I feel like those type of shenanigans in this match kind of helped mold the story that they were trying to tell. Because how I feel like so many people, I mean, me, I already had in my head that Ronda was going to go after Becky, because, you know, that makes sense. And so I already kind of felt like, kind of like, wah, type of feeling. But I think with this match, this kind of helped mold it to more of like, oh, okay, I kind of see what they're doing now, as opposed to like kind of doing that before the match.
So did you think Ronda's gonna lose in this match?
No, I thought she was gonna win. That's what I mean. Like, I thought Ronda was gonna win.
Yeah, I think the prediction was like almost like 90% Ronda Rousey. So it shook me to my core when Ronda Rousey fell with the big boot of all moves.
What a big boot that was. I'm glad, like you said, out of all moves, like a big boot is what takes her out. But I am glad it was a solid big boot. It would have been kind of shitty, but also kind of like funny, like a shitty big boot takes Ronda Rousey out, the baddest woman in the planet. Come on now. But that was a solid big boot. And like, when was the last time somebody got beat by a big boot? It's like the last time somebody got beat by like a bear hug or something random.
I was shook. I just did not see that happening, especially because of the referee shenanigans. Before we go to the finish, what did you think of Charlotte Flair missing that huge moonsault spot?
It was almost like bound to happen, because I feel like she's almost missing it all the time. So I kind of feel like, oh, there it is. I think it was a little bit like, oh, okay, there it goes. But I wasn't, it's weird because I wasn't really mad about it, because it almost happens a lot.
It happens way too often. She needs to drop it. That's the Andrade moonsault, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is.
It's like a little wink wink, I'm still dating him sign, but like, no, just drop it. So Ronda Rousey lost, to everyone's surprise.
I was definitely surprised. I did not expect her to lose at all, really. I thought she was going to win for sure. Right. And I'm not necessarily mad that she didn't win, obviously, but I also feel like she wasn't really a face. I think people just like her. She didn't really was acting like a face, I don't think, in my opinion. I just want to know now what happens with Ronda now. Like, does she go away and then just come back for big pay-per-views?
So she posted on Instagram that she will be returning on Friday, so she is continuing her WWE run, yeah. My biggest fear with Ronda Rousey was that she was going to win at WrestleMania, which I fully thought she was going to win. I thought she was going to win, and she's going to be the champion for the whole year until next WrestleMania and go against Becky Lynch. I thought that's where they were heading, and I was like, that. I hate that, but I already see it happening. So I'm so glad that that's not going to happen. But again, does this make Ronda Rousey less special?
Her losing? No, I don't think so. I don't think it makes her less special. I think she's still seen as an attraction. She's almost like seen like the Andre the Giant type. Obviously, she's not 7 feet tall or like 500 pounds, but she's almost seen like as a type of attraction where people come to the show to specifically see her. And it was kind of crazy. I was seeing a lot of like pre-show stuff and a lot of like people like on the street interview, and they were asking a lot of people who their favorite superstar was, and the answer a lot was Ronda, which I was like, oh wow, that actually kind of surprised me. But I don't think this diminishes her as an attraction. I think if anything, you kind of like, oh, so she's willing to do business is what I see it as. Because for a little while there, I thought she was kind of like, I'm Ronda Rousey. I need to protect that I'm Ronda Rousey. But I feel for me, that's kind of like, okay, Ronda, you're ready to do business now.
Okay, so I don't want Ronda Rousey to like dominate the entire division. That's not what I want to see. But for me, I kind of feel like this run of Ronda Rousey, the way she was so special as like the baddest bitch in the planet, I don't get that vibe this time, which I feel like it's kind of a missed opportunity, because I'm not against having like a Goldberg / Brock Lesnar type wrestler on the women's division. So I'm little worried about that, but I do agree with what you said. I feel like this shows that Ronda's down to play with WWE's rule. So I guess like behind the scenes, I'm like, okay, she's a team player. I can see that.
Now might be the switch where people see her more of a wrestler than a UFC fighter. Maybe that might be why her like big aura of her like might have diminished a little bit. I think that might be kind of like the playoff that she had to do, like while she, like taking a loser, like ready to do business, kind of might see her more as a WWE wrestler as opposed to like, oh, there's a UFC fighter in WWE, which actually I think maybe in the long run, wrestling wise, it might be helpful for her, but I could definitely see attraction wise on why that would kind of be more of a diminishing factor.
So let's move to the night 2, where we saw the women's tag team championship defended. So it's Carmella and Zelina going against Team Shaddy, Team Shatalia, and then we've also got Team Below, Boss Time and Glow Time. Team Below, Naomi and Sasha Banks. These are all the team names that the live stream chat came up with. And we got the Team Lesbian, Liv Morgan,
who are so ready for fetish night, and I was here for it.
Fatal 4-way tag team championship match. Let's talk about the looks. Who stands out to you?
Surprisingly enough for me, Sasha and Naomi. I almost want to say surprisingly, because it's almost like that's what they look like, but they just look so good together. Like it fits so well. I kind of almost wish that Sasha would have worn kind of her gear that she wore last year to kind of a little bit match, like not so matchy, but kind of match Naomi. But I can't get over Liv and Rhea, how like high end dominatrix and fetish night that they looked. And I knew Carmella was playing up a homage to Madonna as soon as she came out. I'm like, is she trying to like cosplay as Madonna? I guess all my answer is all of them.
You liked all of it except for Team Shatalia.
Yeah, I feel at least I'm happy Natalia wore. I feel like she's like me. She gets stuck in pink and black a lot, and I get stuck in red and green a lot. So it's nice to see a different color. And Shayna, I was like, whenever she first came out with her little like vest jacket thing, I'm like, oh, she should be with Rhea and Liv, because she kind of looked like she would fit in with them, with a cute little throuple going on there. I think everybody looked like themselves, but elevated.
Did you know that Rhea and Liv were supposed to be Batman and Catwoman?
No, I thought they were just both Catwoman.
You had no idea.
They were both Catwoman. Rhea's ears were too big.
She got the Ariana Grande Dangerous Women mask instead of Batman mask. But I didn't know what the hell she was until there were like Batman logos all around her gear. Yeah, so she picked the wrong mask. But other than the mask, I thought they actually coordinated, so they were my favorite gears of the night. Surprisingly, I didn't really care for Sasha and Naomi's gear because they had like a matching gear for like Bump earlier that day. But then for the actual match, they didn't have a matching gear, so I'm like, oh, these bitches are not winning tonight. But then they won. I was like, okay, that's the gag.
I feel like Naomi tried to match more with Sasha because Naomi had the legit glow on her kick pads, and I feel like Sasha was like, whatever, you match me, but Sasha didn't really do an effort of matching Naomi.
She had a hair.
Oh, I guess.
Zelina and Carmella did not even match. Zelina did her own queen thing. Corey and Carmella were matching, actually.
Zelina looked great. Zelina looked like a queen, like a really big elevated queen. That crown was as big as her. It was huge, and the little scepter stick thing was huge.
Zelina looked so
too.
good.
What stands out to you in this match?
How confused I was for a little bit because I didn't know what was going on. Like, I think it's really weird that you have to tag in and out in a anything goes match. Like, so there's no rules, right? Because it's a 4-way tag match. But yet you still have to tag in and out, which that doesn't make any sense for me. Maybe they could have done a little bit better of like explaining the rules. I mean, now I knew what was going on, but maybe for a lot of people who don't watch wrestling regularly or like, hey, what's going on? There's a lot of things. There was a lot of moving parts, for the good and for the bad. So that's what stands out to me the most is how much like moving parts and how annoyed I was that they kept on tagging in and out, even though there was no rules.
Yeah, this match was messy.
It was, and I could see what they were trying to do because obviously they want to do a lot in the amount of time that they get, but almost like less is more, but also it's WrestleMania, so you want to do more. Right. It was a lot of moving parts. I feel like I'm going to say this over and over for this match, but there was a lot of going on, and it wasn't very... I mean, multi-person matches are hard as it is. Like, but on top of that, with tag teams, on top of that, WrestleMania, on top of that, like so many other factors that go on. But I didn't necessarily expect this to be like a technical, showcase or put on a clinic. But I felt like it was almost a lot to keep up with at times.
Do you like the Tower of Doom spot?
No, it's scary. I took a Tower of Doom spot once. I was not the very top person, the middle person, and I was supposed to take a suplex. I basically DDT'd myself from the top rope right on top of my head. I will send you the clip of that if I think I still have it. No, I hate Tower of Doom spots because of this. The only time I will now do a Tower of Doom is if I'm the person powerbombing people. I refuse to be any other person Tower of Doom. But to wrestling wise, it's supposed to be personal wise because I have a Tower of Doom vendetta against it. They're always a good idea, but I don't think they ever turn out as good as the idea is, especially when you're doing both of them at the same time. First of all, that's super scary and dangerous because you could always like bump on top of each other, and then it also kind of looked off because it wasn't at the same time, but also I'm glad it wasn't at the same time, so I don't think there's no winning with that. It looks sloppy.
I also think Tower of Doom spot has become like such a multi-women match staple. It's kind of like Suicide Dive. We see it so many times, it's kind of like, oh, whatever. Like, we're over it. It's like a drop kick at this point.
It really is, yeah.
The stereo version was, I guess, kind of cute, but I didn't like that was like the big spotlight of this match. I don't remember much about this match except for the finish, where Sasha and Naomi did the really cute tag team finisher.
That was cute. Fit out knee thing. That was really cute. It looked devastating. Poor Carmella. Right. It looked super devastating. But it was a really good finisher. I liked it. Like, oh, you could have a tag team finishing move, but you can't match.
I also have to give shout out to Carmella and Zelina. Carmella did her version of Stratosphere and then turned into the Hurricanrana. And then Zelina did the outside moonsault, which was I don't think a lot of people give credit to Zelina. She's been really improving a lot as an in-ring performer.
And I hope that this match kind of shows that you can have a storyline going on with the women's tag titles as opposed to just using them as accessories. And I will probably take this type of match, even though it was a little sloppy and a lot at times, over a random ass battle royal. Don't get me wrong, while we would probably get more women in a battle royal match, I feel like this at least means something. At least it was for the belts too. But yes, I think Zelina and Carmella did a good job of I don't know if elevating is the, like, it's between like elevating and being down here. They definitely brought the titles up here, but it's no fault to themselves. It's not their fault. You know, they definitely did the best that they could with what they were giving. I just hope that they're like, you know what, we will do something. We'll do better at the women's tag title belts. We will book this more. Like, oh, we won't use this as just props or accessories. We'll actually make this mean something. So hopefully, Sasha and Naomi can do that together. And I love that they mentioned their team bad. I'm glad that was acknowledged during WrestleMania by the commentators.
There was a backstage video of Tamina coming to join them. It was so cute. Aww. Please save Tamina. Please save her.
Just bring her in and do the Freebird rule. So like any of them can defend the titles at any time. Just do the Freebird rule and form a new team bad. Why not?
So I interviewed Rhea Ripley in person, which was really cute. So even Rhea Ripley herself said that her and Liv Morgan's team was like basically thrown together. So
Live for brutality? So how'd that team come about?
It sort of just got thrown together.
basically all the teams in this match, maybe except for Team Bad, even though they abandoned Tamina, they're all thrown together. But I guess props to them for making this match happen. But really props to Rhea and Liv Morgan for a thrown together team. Their chemistry, their sexual tension was undeniable.
They kind of like lean into it, which I am so here for. Oh my gosh, you could just like feeling just like oozing out of your screen. It's awesome. It's super high. I love like the whole like super sexual energy undertones that are like so undeniable. Like, come on now. Yeah. And Rhea knows what she's doing when she does that pin, especially on small little Zelina. Oh, she knows it. She loves it, and I love that she loves it, and I love that everybody loves it. But she knows what she's doing.
So now that Naomi and Sasha are a team, I wonder if this is like a reason that Bailey comes back and Bailey is like, Sasha, you
I hope she comes back on Raw, but I really was wondering about Bailey just yesterday whenever like WrestleMania was ending. I was like, okay, maybe come on, Bailey.
Let's quickly move to the next match because we have 2 more matches to talk about. It's already 50 minutes. So let's talk about TakeOver. So we got 2 matches. First match was NXT Women's Tag Team Championship match. It was Toxic Attraction versus Wendy Chu was not here. Sorry, I'm still mad about it. So instead of Wendy Chu, Dakota Kai decided to team up with Raquel Gonzalez. To be honest, I don't remember much about it except for Wendy Chu coming in and attack Gigi with the orange juice and the pillow, which was really cute.
I remember Raquel coming out dressed like Zelina, so that was really cool. I really like Zelina inspired gear, which was awesome. I'm with you. I was so wrestling overload, and this was like at the beginning of the weekend, so I don't remember too many spots exactly that stood out. But I feel like Priscilla Kelly, Gigi, is looking like a star more and more every time I see her. Like my eye is attracted to her. Like every time she's in the screen or in the ring, I find myself looking at her more than anybody else in the ring, even though there was like action going on. Even if she was in the ring, I do see myself like she pulls attention and she pulls my eyes towards her. But I like you said, like I don't know if I remember too much about from this match or anything that and it wasn't a bad match, but I'm also intriguing to see who will be called up from NXT.
We're going to talk about it with the Io Shirai Kaylee Ray match too, but then that's why I'm surprised that Dakota and Raquel won the title. Because I'm like, Dakota, you should go up already. I actually am little disagreeing with the Gigi Dolin because I don't know Gigi Dolin, JC Jane. I don't really understand their character. They're going around like both of them look so derpy and just like, I don't know what their whole deal is. I still don't know what their character is. I don't know why she has a rose. I don't know why JC has that hat. I don't know anything. I didn't really gain anything from their title reign. I don't even think they defended it that many times. Because we know Mandy's backstory. I think we know who Mandy is. We know how she evolved from what she was before. JC and Gigi for me, I'm just like still like, who are you guys? I'm still getting to know you. Dakota and Raquel winning, such a shocker. Because first of all, Wendy Chu was robbed. Wendy Chu was f***ing robbed. I'm still mad about it. But also, why are you guys doing champions here? Because I feel like you're supposed to be on the main roster already.
Yeah, that part confused me. I did not see him becoming champion, but I'm like, oh, okay. So we're here. I guess Dakota still goes here. And we'll continue to go here. Because wasn't she like supposed to go up to the main roster and then she didn't? I don't know. It's confusing.
I think a lot of people actually were expecting Wendy Choo to come in as Mei Ying form. The Wendy Choo staying, and I like it that way because I love Wendy Choo.
I kind of want like Wendy Choo when she's awake or when she's asleep, she's Mei Ying. And like whenever when she's not, she's like this cute little nap queen. That'll be like a cute little almost like multi-personality. But like one is sleepwalking and one's just her regular self. So that'll be interesting to see. I will just say this about Raquel. I feel like she kind of peaked at that War Games match. I haven't seen much more from her, any difference. Even her being in a tag team, which I feel like sometimes she's almost like a plug and play, because I feel she's so tall and menacing that she can work with any tag team and could be like the insurance policy or the bodyguard. But I don't see anything else from her. Like she's remained she plateaued definitely. So maybe her winning the titles with Dakota will shine her up some more. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
She's been looking better than ever. She looks gorgeous lately.
For sure.
Yeah. Let's go to the Fatal 4-Way match. So we got Mandy Rose versus Cora Jade was the original match, but then NXT was like, actually, we don't feel comfortable just Mandy and Cora having a singles match at TakeOver. So they brought in Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray, who were supposed to be tag team, who won the tag team tournament, but then they're like, actually, f*** the tag team. We're gonna challenge for the singles championship! So they are added to this match. That was the whole storyline, which I was upset about. I talked about it in a weekly review. I'm still pissed about it. What do we think of this match?
I really like this match. I think everybody had their own little moment to stand out. I think the difference of them coming out to the ring, you could really tell who's been there a long time, who's had experience, who knows how to like present themselves. And I think it was a good mix of women to kind of like feed off of each other. I thought it was the best showing from Mandy Rose I have seen. Like it kind of makes me uncomfortable how good Mandy Rose is now. Like what? Who would have ever thought that Mandy Rose dyeing her hair dark and going to NXT would be the best thing that would happen to her for her in-ring ability?
Do you think she improved? Because her moveset's still very like grounded, very basic moveset.
But I think it's the difference of her looking like she's comfortable doing it. Because I feel like before, especially like when she was in the main roster and when she's like blonde, cute, hot hair, I feel like then she was like doing the moves. But I feel like now she's like believing in the moves. Like you could just tell she's confident and feels comfortable in the ring while her moveset is still like grounded and she still busts out that knee that she does so well always. But I could tell that she's way more confident in what she does, and she just like exudes that in how she moves and in her moves. So I think that's how Mandy Rose has improved so much in that wise, as opposed to like, you know, she doesn't have to do a million moves. I just feel like she definitely feels comfortable with what she's doing now, as opposed to just like going through the moves.
I think it definitely helped that Io and Kaylee Ray were in this match. They didn't take away from Cora and Mandy, like you said. When Cora Jade hit Kaylee Ray with that devastating Canadian destroyer on the apron, that was the gag-worthy moment for me.
I'm not gonna lie, a shout out to Kaylee Ray for that, because literally if you watch the spot again, Kaylee Ray does everything because Cora's not even on the ground when it's happening. Kaylee Ray literally has her lifted up and was like, I'm gonna do a backflip with you on top of me. It's basically what Kaylee Ray said, because that's a testament. I mean, of course Cora was there for it. I love her. Shout out Cora. It literally did nothing. Like she's just like was floating already, and Kaylee Ray did everything for her, which is great. If I ever give a Canadian destroyer, that's how I wanted to be. It's like, you do it for me. Like, let me just hang on real quick. You do the rest of it. But that looked devastating, and that helped out Cora a lot, because I feel like Cora has this like super like Avril Lavigne, super cute skater girl vibe that could come almost be too cutesy. So I think she does needs this spots like this that comes off her aggression and her being intense, kind of like when she did the swanton off the top of War Games, where, you know, like she, like everybody thought like she her arm and stuff like that. I think she needs these like spots to kind of like make her more like rugged and tough and like mean, because I'm like, oh, you're so cute, oh, you're so awesome. Like, she almost comes off too relatable, if that makes sense. Like I feel like Kaylee Ray and Io for sure, and Mandy Rose are like oh, like, you know, like can be reached and unstoppable. Like they're like on a different atmosphere. While Cora, I feel like, is almost too relatable and too, I went to school with her, like I went to high school with her, like type of deal, which is not a bad thing by any means, but you could just see the different levels of where they're at for sure.
The character, I think, is borderline cool and annoying. I think her doing these like big spots in the matches that makes her cool, and I even really liked her entrance with the skater boys. I thought that was really cute. So I think she's really carving a nice spot in NXT. I also loved how Io Shirai hit that Spanish fly on Mandy Rose.
That was really scary. It was like
cool.
almost like a modified one, and I feel like it was modified to kind of help Mandy, because usually you just wrap your arm around then you just go. But I feel like she wrapped her arm and got her by the waist to make sure she went over. Which, hey, if that's what you gotta do to make sure you and your opponent's safe, that's what you gotta do. But I was actually so surprised, like, whoa, Mandy taking that move. That's awesome. That really impressed me. But I feel like you could have plugged Io Shirai in any match, any promotion in the world, and she would bring out the best out of anybody. I don't want to say that sucks for Io, but she's just so good and such a like utility person that we're like, oh man, you look at the card, you're like, bring in Io, or like, bring in Io, like you know, like.
That's what exactly happened in this match. So you're saying that Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai was brought into this match to carry?
Yeah. I mean, in a good way, in the most good way possible.
I do want to mention, by the way, Mandy looked amazing with the entrance with the wing. Very cute. She was serving. Did you see the new belt? It's a holographic. It's like white strap now.
Oh, it's that like translucent one that like changes color like when you hit when you hit the light. I thought that was cute. I liked it. I like the new addition to it. And I thought that the platform that Mandy was in, I'm like, is that the same platform that Shawn Michaels used? But I definitely made her seem like a star. A lot of people I saw that were saying that her gear was a little bit basic, but I think it was super hot. I think it just like exuded like just sex appeal. That I think that's just like what Mandy does, and I think it's kind of like edgier, and so I think that's kind of like the vibe that she was going for anyway. But I really liked her entrance for sure.
So what did you think about Mandy retaining?
It was okay. I didn't mind. Like, also, I don't feel Cora Jade is there yet. I think she will be, and when she does win, it'll be like super awesome celebration. I mean, but I'm not upset of Mandy Rose retaining at all. I don't know where they will go from here, but I'm okay with her. Like, I didn't really necessarily see a justifiable reason to put it on Io or even Kaylee Ray right now, but I don't mind.
I think Io should just go to main roster already. I think she peaked. She did everything that she could do there, and I think her going to main roster, I think, will help bring really fresh energy into main roster, and she's just so freaking good. I want her to be showcased in the big league. Kaylee Ray, I think she needs to be there a little bit more. I'm still a little confused about her character, and I personally don't like her because she had that whole backstage segment where she broke all the camera equipment for no reason. And as a video person, I'm like, I hate you. So, just kidding. But I think she needs a little more time to marinate on her character. Cora Jade, like you said, I don't think she's ready yet. I think she's getting there. She's going to be a big star very soon. So I'm okay with Mandy holding it for now.
I want to see how about Cora Jade versus more interactions with Kaylee Ray. Maybe that'll be a good person to help her like polish up more, get her like elevate her even more. I want more Cora Jade and Kaylee Ray interactions for sure. Absolutely. Also, can we briefly talk about Index and what's the other couple's name?
Duja.
Yeah. How does this end? I feel like the only way this ends is in an orgy. Like, how else is this storyline gonna end?
I'm just gonna say this about the whole situation. I just love that we're at this point where we're doing a costume contest between men. This is real equality.
It's a full circle. We went from having Playboy matches at WrestleMania with Snoop Dogg falling asleep ringside to having men dressing up in cowboys.
And this is a real meaning of equality, and the evolution has ended. Thank you so much. I'm like, it will never end until we see Finn Balor in a baby oil match. So I guess that is everything.
That was a lot. I'm glad actually that
was a
we are
lot.
able to talk about so much at WrestleMania now. Because remember when there was either one tiny small women's match in WrestleMania, and now that the fact that we took over an hour speaking about so many amazing women matches plus NXT, I feel like we could talk about a whole another hour about this. So it's awesome to see the content of women's wrestling, and just like I remember like watching, I think it was while I was watching NXT, that the women's championship match, like look at how much women's wrestling has really evolved and go through. Like if you would present this match to somebody like back when everybody was having your favorite gravy bowl matches, they'd be like, there's no way those are women doing these the moves. There's no way there's women doing these matches. So it's just like amazing to see the true real evolution, for lack of a better word, of women's wrestling. And what better way to do that than WrestleMania weekend.
Alright, so after filming for like 90 minutes for our WrestleMania 38 weekend review, I don't know, the Zoom call exploded or something. We couldn't download the goodbye part of it. So here's our goodbye. Thank you so much for joining in for this long ass review. Thank you so much for everyone that messaged me if I'm doing well, just sending me get well soon messages, as well as everyone that watched WrestleMania with me on our live stream. So thank you so much. But yeah, really this week from review to the whole plan is a mess. But you can follow me at DSShin on Instagram and Ring the Bell DS on Twitter, and you can follow Paloma on @PalomaStar on all the platforms, and I will see you next time for another review.